How are you really doing today? I mean, beyond the surface level, I'm fine. Have you ever felt caught in this relentless current, trying to keep your head above water? Like you're constantly juggling work deadlines, family needs, social obligations, financial pressures, trying to stay healthy and staying informed? It's like spinning a dozen plates at once, terrified one might drop. Do you ever find yourself scrolling endlessly through your phone, looking for something? A connection, a distraction, but not quite sure what? Or maybe you collapse at night, your mind still racing with tomorrow's worries or yesterday's regrets, your body exhausted. Do you feel like you just ran a marathon but didn't get anywhere truly meaningful? If any of this resonates, please know you are absolutely not alone. This feeling of being overwhelmed, stretched thin, and vaguely disconnected is almost an epidemic in our modern world. We're bombarded with information 24/7. We are constantly comparing our messy, behind-the-scenes lives with everyone else's curated highlight reels online. We're told to hustle harder, achieve more, and be more. There's this immense pressure to be constantly productive, happy, and constantly on. And frankly, it's exhausting. It can leave us feeling empty, anxious, and wondering if this frantic pace is all there is to life. We chase external things, the next promotion, the bigger house, the perfect relationship, the next vacation, hoping that will be the thing that finally makes us feel whole, complete, and thrilled. But often, even when we get those things, the satisfaction is fleeting. The underlying restlessness, the subtle hum of anxiety, often remains. It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket. The external fixes don't address the core issue. This brings me back to that incredibly insightful quote by the philosopher Blaise Pascal that resonates deeply here. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Wow. Let that sink in. Our inability to be with ourselves in stillness. It sounds so simple, yet in practice, it feels almost radical in today's world. We are masters of distraction. We fill every spare moment with noise, tasks, entertainment, and endless thinking. Why? Could we be fundamentally uncomfortable with silence? Afraid of what we might find if we stop running and listen to the deeper currents within ourselves. But here's a powerful counter-narrative I want to explore deeply with you today. What if that silence, that stillness we often avoid, isn't empty or scary? What if it's actually incredibly full of peace, wisdom, and connection to something deeper within ourselves and life itself? What is the ability to sit quietly in a room alone isn't a sign of doing nothing, but is the gateway to accessing our greatest inner strength, clarity, and resilience. This is the revolutionary perspective offered by a book that has profoundly impacted millions, myself included. Today, we're taking a deep, immersive dive into the core teachings often associated with Eckhart Tolle, particularly focusing on the themes central to his work, the power of stillness. This isn't just a book. For many, this is manual for navigating the complexities of modern life and rediscovering an inner peace that transcends circumstances. So, grab a comfy seat and a cup of tea and get ready. We're going beyond a simple summary. In true Big Smart Insight style, we'll dissect the key ideas, unpack the jargon, connect it all to tangible, real-life examples, sprinkle in some wisdom from other great thinkers, share personal insights, and look at how these concepts have resonated or sometimes challenged readers worldwide. We will unravel why our minds can often be the most significant source of our stress and suffering. More importantly, we'll explore the practical, actionable steps to reclaim our inner peace through the transformative power of stillness. Ready to explore the power within? Let's dive in. Before diving into Tolle's solutions, let's spend more time painting a vivid picture of this modern condition, this state of being lost in the noise his work addresses so directly. Because understanding the problem profoundly helps us appreciate the solution even more. Externally, we face an unprecedented level of stimulation. Digital technology, while connecting us in many ways, also bombards us with notifications, emails, news feeds, and social media streams designed to capture and hold our attention. Our phones have become constant companions, offering an instant escape hatch from any moment of stillness or boredom, but often leaving us feeling more scattered and less present. This constant influx fragments our attention and can lead to overwhelming and inadequacy, especially when we inevitably compare our lives to the carefully curated versions others present online. This comparison culture is a significant, often subtle, driver of dissatisfaction. Added is the pervasive hustle culture, the societal message that equates self-worth with constant productivity and relentless achievement. We're encouraged to optimize every minute, constantly strive for more, climb the ladder, build the brand, and never stop grinding. Rest is often viewed as unproductive, even lazy, rather than essential for well-being and creativity. This creates immense internal pressure. We feel guilty if we're not doing something constructive or actively working towards a measurable goal. Even our downtime can become performative or another item on the optimization checklist. But perhaps even more impactful and certainly more insidious is the internal noise, the non-stop chatter of our minds. This isn't just the helpful thinking required for tasks. It's often a compulsive background stream of commentary, worry, analysis, and judgment running on autopilot as a radio station stuck between frequencies. What does this inner monologue typically consist of? Future worries and what-ifs. The mind constantly scans the horizon for potential threats or problems. What if I lose my job? What if they don't approve? What if this plan fails? It generates anxiety by dwelling on negative possibilities, many of which never materialize, keeping us in a state of low-grade or high-grade stress. Past ruminations and regrets. It replays conversations, actions, or events from the past, often focusing on mistakes, perceived injustices, or missed opportunities. I should have said that differently. Why did that have to happen? If only I had chosen another path. This keeps past pain emotionally alive and prevents us from fully inhabiting the present. Self-criticism and judgment. Many live with a harsh inner critic that constantly points out perceived flaws, compares us unfavorably to others, and undermines our confidence. You're not smart enough. You always procrastinate. Everyone else seems to have it figured out. This internal negativity can be incredibly draining. Mental labeling and categorization. The mind automatically sorts experiences into boxes: good, bad, right, wrong, like, dislike. While necessary to some degree, compulsive labeling limits our perception, creates unnecessary divisions, and prevents us from appreciating the richness and complexity of reality as it is beyond our judgments. Eckhart Tolle calls this state identification with the mind. We mistake this stream of thought and the emotions it generates for who we are. We believe its narratives, get entangled in its dramas, and allow it to dictate our moods and reactions. We've forgotten that we are the awareness in which the thoughts appear, not the thoughts themselves. It's like being so absorbed in a movie that we forget we're sitting in the cinema. The consequences of living perpetually immersed in this external and internal noise are significant and ripple through our lives. Chronic stress impacting our physical health, headaches, fatigue, weakened immunity, pervasive anxiety casting a shadow over our days, emotional exhaustion leading to burnout, difficulty forming profound and present connections with others, and perhaps, most importantly, a profound disconnection from our own inner wisdom, intuition, and the simple, inherent joy of being alive right now. Recognizing this state, noticing the constant pull of external distractions, and crucially, becoming aware of the repetitive, often negative chatter of our minds without automatically believing it, is the critical first step towards freedom. It's like waking up from a trance. This awareness creates a space, a possibility for choosing a different way of relating to our thoughts and the world. Now, let's dissect the engines driving this inner noise more closely. The thinking mind and its fascinating, troublesome creation, the ego. Tolle suggests that to navigate towards peace, we must understand the two principal architects of our inner turmoil, the compulsive thinking mind and the ego. These aren't enemies to be destroyed, but rather patterns of consciousness to be understood and transcended with awareness. 1. The compulsive thinking mind, the runaway train. Let's be crystal clear. Thinking is an essential tool. It allows us to learn, create, solve problems, and function in the world. The issue Tolle addresses isn't functional thinking, but compulsive, unconscious, incessant thinking, when the tool starts using us, running our lives without our conscious direction. The non-stop inner commentary. Most humans live with a near constant stream of thoughts, narrating, judging, analyzing, worrying, and commenting on everything. It's like having a radio playing in your head that you can't switch off. Often, we're so used to it that we don't even realize it's there until we intentionally try to be quiet. Becoming aware of this voice in the head, listening to it as an observer without getting caught up in its content, is a fundamental practice Tolle recommends. What are its favorite topics? What tone does it usually take? Just noticing creates distance. Identification, believing you are your thoughts. This is the core delusion. We take the thoughts that pass through our minds to define who we are. A thought like, "I'm not capable," isn't seen as just a thought. It becomes an identity. I am incapable. An emotion like sadness arises, triggered by thought, and we become sad, losing ourselves in the feeling. Tolle emphasizes disidentification, recognizing that you are the awareness experiencing the thought or emotion, not the thought or emotion itself. This space between the observer and the observed is where freedom lies. Psychological time travel. The thinking mind rarely rests in the present moment. It compulsively pulls us into the past. It repeatedly replays memories, especially painful or regretful ones. We mentally relitigate arguments, agonize over mistakes, or cling to past glories. This keeps the emotional charge of the past alive and kicking in the present, preventing healing and forward movement. Our identity becomes heavily invested in our personal history. The future. It constantly projects scenarios, often fueled by anxiety. What if X goes wrong? Or desire, I'll finally be happy when Y happens. This creates stress about things that haven't occurred and prevents us from fully valuing and engaging with the only time we actually have, this moment. We live in anticipation or dread, rarely in simple presence. Resistance to what is, non-acceptance. The mind carries blueprints of how life should be. When reality inevitably deviates from these blueprints, the mind resists. It argues with reality. This shouldn't be happening. This mental resistance, this internal no to the present moment, whether it's a traffic jam, an illness, or criticism from another person, is a massive source of self-inflicted suffering. Tolle stresses that acceptance doesn't mean liking the situation or passive resignation. It means acknowledging the factual reality of the now, without mental opposition. Only from that point of acceptance can truly effective and peaceful action arise. Resistance creates inner turmoil. Acceptance creates space for intelligent response. Number 2, the ego, the mind-made identity. In Tolle's specific usage, the ego is the false self constructed entirely from identification with the thinking mind and its contents. It's the me, the story we tell ourselves about who we are based on our thoughts, emotions, memories, roles, possessions, beliefs, and physical body. It's not our true, deeper essence. Tolle calls it being or presence. How it's built, layer by layer, from childhood onwards, we identify with external forms and mental concepts. Our name, body, gender, nationality, religion, profession, family roles, personal history, my story, opinions, beliefs, material possessions, social status. The ego is the sum total of these identifications, creating a seemingly solid but quite fragile sense of I. Its core fear and drive, because it's a construct, not our true nature. The ego exists in a state of fundamental insecurity and fear. The fear of not being enough, the fear of its own demise. Its primary motivations are therefore self-preservation and self-enhancement. It constantly seeks to define, defend, and expand itself. This shows up in various ways. Comparison. It defines itself by comparing itself to others, needing to feel superior, or sometimes deriving identity from feeling inferior or victimized. Wanting more. Driven by lack, it's never satisfied. It always needs validation, possessions, power, attention, and experiences. Control. It tries to control situations and people to feel safe and maintain their sense of power. Uncertainty feels profoundly threatening. Being right. It identifies strongly with its opinions and beliefs. Being challenged or proven wrong feels like a threat to its existence, leading to defensiveness and arguments. Separation. It strengthens itself by creating an us versus them mentality, judging, blaming, and finding fault in others to feel distinct and often superior. Complaining, resentment. These egoic habits reinforce a sense of being right or victimized, giving the ego energy and definition. Holding on to grievances keeps the past and the ego's story alive. Attachment to form. Seeking security and identity in external things, jobs, relationships, appearance, achievements. When these inevitably change or disappear, the ego suffers intensely because its foundation feels threatened. Understanding these egoic patterns isn't about becoming ego-less overnight, which is likely impossible, or judging ourselves. It's about bringing awareness to these patterns when they arise in us. Can you notice the impulse to compare, the urge to complain, the defensiveness when your opinion is challenged? That noticing is key. When you see the ego acting, you are, in that moment, stepping outside of it. You are the awareness recognizing the pattern, and that awareness is the beginning of freedom from its unconscious control. This leads us directly to Tolle's liberating alternative, accessing our true nature as presence through the gateway of stillness, thereby transcending the limitations of the mind-made self. Let's explore this path to peace. Having identified the compulsive thinking mind and the ego as the primary sources of inner noise and suffering, we turn to the heart of Eckhart Tolle's solution, cultivating stillness and presence. These aren't complex techniques to learn, but rather states of being to rediscover, qualities inherent within us that get obscured by mental activity. They are the antidotes, the way back to our natural state of peace. 1. Stillness, the silent background of being. Stillness. In this context, means more than just quiet surroundings. It refers to an inner spaciousness, a quiet field of awareness that underlies all the activity of the mind and the world. It's the silent witness consciousness. The space, not just the content. Imagine your awareness is like the vast, clear sky. Thoughts, emotions, and sensations are like clouds, weather patterns, and birds passing through. We usually focus entirely on the changing weather, the content, forgetting the unchanging nature of the sky, the awareness. Stillness is becoming conscious of the sky, the background awareness, which is inherently peaceful and untouched by whatever passes through it. Beyond the absence of thought, accessing stillness doesn't necessarily mean achieving an utterly blank mind. This common misconception leads to frustration. Thoughts may still arise. The shift is in your relationship with them. Instead of being lost in the thoughts, you become aware of the thoughts appearing and disappearing within a larger field of quiet presence. You notice the gaps between thoughts more readily. Identification shifts from the thought to the silent awareness of observing the thought. The wellspring of wisdom and creativity. Why prioritize stillness? Because when the static of compulsive mental chatter subsides, we open ourselves to a deeper intelligence. Intuition speaks more clearly. Creative insights arise seemingly from nowhere. Wise solutions to problems appear not from more frantic thinking, but from the clarity that emerges in inner quiet. It's like letting muddy water settle. The clarity was always there underneath. Many wisdom traditions point to this. True knowing arises from silence, from simply being. How to touch stillness. It's always beneath the surface noise. You don't need to manufacture it. You must become receptive to it. Practices that help include listening deeply. Pay attention to sounds and the underlying silence from which sounds emerge and dissolve. Listen to the space around sounds. Noticing gaps. Become aware of the brief pauses between thoughts or the stillness at the end of an out-breath before the next in-breath begins. Feeling inner aliveness. Gently bring your attention to the felt sense of energy within your body. Hands, feet, torso. This inner body awareness anchors you in the present and bypasses excessive thinking. 2. Presence. Anchoring in the now. Presence is the active state of being fully grounded and attentive in the present moment. Suppose stillness is the quality of the underlying space. In that case, presence is the act of inhabiting that space consciously, right here, right now. It's arguably Tolle's most emphasized teaching, the direct antidote to the mind's time-bound suffering. Freedom from psychological time. Our minds constantly pull us into dwelling on the past, regret, resentment, or worrying about the future, anxiety, fear. Tolle calls this psychological time and argues it's the primary source of neurosis and suffering. The actual past is gone. The future hasn't arrived. Life is only ever happening now. Presence means withdrawing your attention from compulsive thinking about the past and future and anchoring it firmly in the reality of this moment. What being present means. It's a state of alert awareness directed towards your immediate experience. Sensory perception. Truly seeing what's in front of you, hearing the actual sounds happening now, feeling the sensations in your body without filtering them through heavy mental commentary. Engaged action. When performing a task, whether simple or complex, your attention is primarily on the task itself, not lost in unrelated thoughts. You are there with what you are doing. Acceptance of what is. This is fundamental. Presence involves acknowledging and allowing the present moment to be as it is, internally, without mental resistance or argument. Presence means allowing sadness to be felt without judgment if you're feeling sad. If plans get disrupted, presence means accepting the new reality before deciding how to respond. This acceptance isn't passivity, it's the foundation for intelligent action free from reactivity. Resisting reality creates suffering. Accepting reality creates space. The point of power. You cannot change what happened yesterday. You cannot live tomorrow today. Your only access point to life, where you can act, create, learn, or love, is always the now. When fully present, your actions tend to be more aligned, effective, and intelligent because they arise from awareness of the actual situation rather than being driven by past conditioning or future fears. How to practice presence? It's about repeatedly, gently bringing your attention back whenever you notice it has wandered. Anchor in the breath. Feel one full inhale and exhale. Tune into your senses. What are the raw sensory inputs right now? Feel your inner body. Connect with the feeling of aliveness within. Notice the details of your immediate environment or task. Notice when you're lost in thought. That noticing is presence awakening. The synergy. Stillness and presence are two sides of the same coin. Bringing presence to your experience naturally invites stillness. Cultivating stillness makes it easier to remain present. Practice both. As you do, you gradually loosen the chains of compulsive thinking and egoic identification, stepping more fully into the peace and power of your true nature as conscious awareness. Life itself feels less like a struggle and more like a flow. Let's look at how to weave these practices into the texture of our lives. Understanding stillness and presence is illuminating, but the fundamental transformation comes from consistent practice. How do we actually cultivate these states amidst the demands of daily life? Here are some core practical methods drawn from Tolle's work and related wisdom traditions to help you tend your inner garden. 1. Formal meditation, the awareness workout. Think of meditation as dedicated time to strengthen your awareness muscle. It's not about achieving a mystical state, but about repeatedly practicing noticing where your attention is and gently guiding it back. It builds the foundation. The core practice. Sit comfortably. Choose an anchor for your attention, like the sensation of your breath, sounds, or bodily feelings, and observe what happens non-judgmentally. Your mind will wander into thoughts, plans, memories. That's its nature. The key isn't to fight the thoughts, but to notice when your attention has drifted. Acknowledge it without criticism. Thinking. And gently escort your focus back to your chosen anchor, e.g. the breath. Each return is a successful repetition, strengthening your ability to disidentify from thought and choose where your attention rests. Simple breath meditation. This is often the most accessible starting point. Find a comfortable, upright posture. Close your eyes gently or lower your gaze. Bring your awareness to the physical sensation of breathing. Feel the air moving in through your nostrils, filling your lungs, and moving out again. Notice the rise and fall of your abdomen or chest. Don't try to control the breath. Observe its natural rhythm. When thoughts inevitably arise and capture your attention, notice this has happened and gently guide your focus back to the feeling of the breath. Start with just 5 to 10 minutes daily. Consistency builds the muscle much more effectively than infrequent long sessions. Body scan meditation. Lie down or sit comfortably. Systematically bring your attention to different body parts, starting with your toes and slowly moving to the top of your head. As you focus on each area, feet, lower legs, knees, etc., notice any physical sensations present: warmth, coolness, tingling, pressure, tightness, pulsation, numbness, or perhaps nothing specific, just observing with gentle curiosity, without judging or needing to change anything. This practice is excellent for grounding you in the present reality of your physical body and developing sensory awareness. Key attitude: patience and non-judgment. Approach your meditation practice with kindness. Don't expect immediate results or a perfectly silent mind. Treat yourself like you would a child learning a new skill. When the mind wanders, which it will countless times, that's not a failure. It's an opportunity to practice noticing and returning. The quality of your meditation isn't measured by how few thoughts you have, but by your gentle persistence in returning to awareness. 2. Presence in daily life. Integrating awareness into everything. While formal meditation builds the foundation, the real practice happens off the cushion, weaving presence into the fabric of your ordinary day. This is about bringing mindful awareness to whatever you are doing, transforming routine moments into opportunities for connection with the now. Mindful routines. Elevate everyday activities into mini meditations by bringing your full attention to them. Mindful showering. Feel the sensation of warm water on your skin. Smell the scent of the soap and hear the sound of the water spraying, instead of mentally rehearsing conversations or planning your day. Mindful eating. Before eating, take a moment to look at your food and notice the colors and textures. Smell the aromas. As you eat, chew slowly, savor the taste, and notice the sensations of chewing and swallowing. Try eating one meal, or even just the first few bites, this way each day. Mindful walking. Whether walking down the street, to your car, or around your home, feel the contact of your feet with the ground. Notice the movement in your legs and body. Look around and observe your surroundings without excessive mental commentary. Feel the air on your skin. Using your senses as anchors. Your 5 senses are direct portals to the present moment. Throughout the day, make a habit of pausing briefly and consciously tuning in. What are 3 things you can see right now? What are 2 things you can hear? What is 1 sensation you can feel in your body? Example, feet on the floor, hands resting. This simple exercise can instantly interrupt mind wandering and bring you back to the here and now. Inner body awareness practice. Tolle emphasizes that feeling your body's subtle aliveness is a powerful way to anchor yourself in presence. Periodically, shift attention from your thoughts to the felt sense of energy inside your hands. Can you feel a slight tingling or warmth? Now try your feet. Gradually, extend this awareness to your arms, legs, abdomen, and chest. Feel the entire inner energy field of the body. It's not about visualizing, it's about direct feeling. This practice connects you to your being and quiets the mind. Embracing pauses. Utilize the natural pauses in your day. Waiting in line, stopped at a traffic light, waiting for a kettle to boil. Not as moments to immediately fill with distraction, like checking your phone, but as opportunities to take a conscious breath, feel your inner body, or observe your surroundings for a moment. These micro pauses weave presence into the day. Meeting challenges with presence. When faced with complex emotions, like anxiety or frustration, or unpleasant situations, acknowledge and allow. Instead of resisting or getting lost in the story about the feeling, acknowledge its presence. Okay, anxiety is here. Allow the feeling to be there in the space of your awareness without judgment. Observe sensations. Gently investigate the raw physical sensations associated with the emotion. Where do you feel it most strongly in your body? What does it feel like? Tightness, heat, vibration? Observe these sensations with detached curiosity, as if observing weather patterns. Often, this mindful acceptance allows the emotional energy to flow through and dissipate more naturally than resistance does. 3. Connecting with nature. Learning from being nature is a profound teacher of presence and stillness because it exists entirely outside the human ego's complexities. It simply is, demonstrating harmony and acceptance. Observe natural stillness and cycles. Spend time observing a tree standing firm through seasons, a flower unfolding without striving, a river flowing effortlessly. Notice the deep stillness in mountains or the quiet patience of rocks. Nature embodies acceptance of cycles, growth, decay, renewal, reminding us of the natural rhythm of life and helping us accept impermanence. Engage all your senses outdoors. In a natural setting, even a park or garden, consciously absorb it through all your senses. Feel the texture of a leaf, the warmth of the sun, the coolness of the breeze. Smell the damp earth, the flowers, the pine needles. Listen intently to the birds, insects, wind, and water symphony. Look closely at the intricate patterns and details you might usually overlook. Let this sensory richness anchor you firmly in the present moment. Find nature everywhere. You don't need grand wilderness excursions. Connect with the nature available daily. Appreciate a houseplant. Watch the clouds drift across the sky. Feel the rain on your face. Listen to birdsong from your window. Tend a small pot of herbs. Look for these minor points of connection. Allow nature's peace to permeate. Be in nature without excessive thinking or analyzing. Let its inherent peace, harmony, and stillness wash over you. Feel yourself as part of this larger, interconnected web of life. This felt a sense of connection can be deeply healing, dissolving the ego's feelings of separation and anxiety. Integrating these practices isn't about adding more burdens to your schedule. It's about shifting the quality of your attention within the activities you are already doing. It's about sprinkling moments of mindful awareness throughout your day. Be patient, be consistent, and notice the subtle yet profound shifts that begin to occur in your inner experience. What kind of shifts? Let's explore the rewarding benefits. Committing to cultivating stillness and presence isn't just an intellectual exercise or a spiritual chore. It yields tangible, life-enhancing results that can fundamentally change your experience of yourself, others, and the world. As you consistently practice, you'll likely notice positive transformations rippling through various aspects of your life. These aren't guaranteed overnight miracles, but shared experiences reported by those who engage deeply with these teachings. 1. Improved relationships, deeper connection, less conflict. So much interpersonal friction arises from clashing egos, assumptions fueled by mental projections, and unconscious reactivity. Presence acts like a balm, transforming how you relate. The gift of true listening. When present with someone, you offer them your undivided attention. You're not just waiting to speak, planning your rebuttal, or mentally judging. You listen to understand, to connect with the person behind the words. This creates a space where others feel genuinely seen and heard, fostering trust and intimacy, and significantly reducing misunderstandings. You hear more of what's being communicated beyond just the surface words. Moving from reaction to response. The ego is highly reactive. When someone says or does something that triggers it, challenges its beliefs, self-image, etc., the automatic impulse is often defense, attack, or withdrawal. Presence introduces a vital pause between the trigger and your action. In that pause, you become aware of your initial emotional flare-up without being hijacked. You can observe the feeling, take a breath, and then choose a more conscious, calm, and constructive response rather than repeating old, conditioned, reactive patterns. This shift alone can diffuse countless arguments and cycles of negativity. Empathy and seeing beyond labels. The ego tends to see others through filters of judgment and labels: difficult, lazy, arrogant, ally, and competitor. Presence allows you to look beyond these superficial personality structures and connect with the essential human being underneath. This naturally fosters empathy and compassion, even for people whose behavior you find challenging. You recognize that their actions likely stem from their unconsciousness and egoic suffering, allowing for more understanding and less personal offense. Authenticity and reduced drama. Much relationship drama is fueled by the ego's needs for validation, control, attention, or proving itself right. As your sense of self becomes more rooted in presence rather than the ego, these needs lessen. You become less dependent on others for your sense of worth or happiness. Relationships become less about strategic maneuvering or emotional transactions, and more about sharing authentic presence and connection. When they arise, conflicts are approached with more maturity and less personal investment in winning or being right. More precise boundaries. Presence empowers you to set necessary boundaries in relationships, not from anger, fear, or resentment, but from a place of calm, self-respect, and clarity about what is acceptable and healthy for you. 2. Enhanced wisdom, clarity, and creativity. Quieting the relentless noise of the thinking mind allows access to deeper levels of intelligence and insight that are often drowned out. Sharpened intuition. Stillness creates receptivity to the subtle signals of intuition, that gut feeling, that quiet inner knowing. As you practice presence, you become more attuned to this inner guidance system, leading to wiser decisions that feel more aligned with your authentic self. Effortless problem solving and insight. Often the best solutions don't come from more frantic thinking, but from stepping back. By defining a problem clearly and then releasing it into the spaciousness of presence, perhaps through meditation or simply taking a break, you allow a deeper intelligence to work. Insights or creative solutions often arise unexpectedly when the striving mind relaxes. You learn to trust this process. Unlocking creative flow. True creativity often emerges from a state of no mind or deep presence where the ego steps aside. Whether involved in artistic pursuits, scientific innovation, business strategy, or parenting, accessing stillness allows inspiration and original ideas to flow more freely. You become less of a thinker forcing solutions and more of a channel through which creativity can express itself. Improved focus and effectiveness. Presence is the prerequisite for deep focus and the optimal experience known as the flow state. When you are fully engaged with the task, without mental distraction, your concentration sharpens, your actions become more precise and effective, and you often experience a sense of effortless engagement and satisfaction. 3. Greater peace with impermanence and change. Life is inherently fluid and ever-changing, a reality the form-identified ego finds deeply threatening. Presence offers a radically different way to relate to life's inevitable ebb and flow, acceptance of life's cycles. Through present moment awareness, you develop a more profound, experiential understanding that everything arises, stays for a while, and passes away. You learn to flow more gracefully with life's natural cycles, gains and losses, successes and failures, health and illness, birth and death, with less resistance. This acceptance reduces the suffering caused by clinging to things as permanent. Diminished fear of loss and the unknown. As your identity shifts towards the timeless, formless awareness of presence, rather than the temporary constructs of the ego, the deep-seated fear of loss, change, and even death loosens its grip. You realize your essential self is not threatened by the changing forms of life. This fosters a profound inner security that is not dependent on external circumstances. Deeper appreciation for the present. Paradoxically, fully accepting that everything is transient allows you to cherish the present moment even more. Knowing that this experience, this person, this day is unique and fleeting encourages you to engage with it more fully, gratefully, and lovingly, rather than taking it for granted or postponing joy. Resilience amidst challenges. When difficulties inevitably arise, loss, illness, setbacks, presence is an inner anchor. While you still feel the appropriate human emotions, you are not entirely overwhelmed or defined by them. An underlying space of aware presence remains steady, allowing you to navigate hardship with greater strength, clarity, learning, and resilience. 4. Improved overall well-being. Mind, body, spirit. The benefits naturally extend to your fundamental sense of health and vitality. Significant stress reduction. Quieting compulsive negative thinking directly calms the body's physiological stress response. This can improve sleep quality, digestion, immune function, and blood pressure, and reduce physical tension. Better emotional regulation. You develop a greater capacity to observe your emotions without being swept away. You become less reactive, less prone to prolonged negative moods, and more able to process feelings consciously. Increased vitality and energy. A tremendous amount of life energy is consumed by useless mental noise and emotional turmoil. As you cultivate stillness and presence, this energy is liberated, leading to feelings of greater vitality, aliveness, and enthusiasm for life. Access to inner peace and unconditional joy. Perhaps the most precious fruit is discovering an underlying field of peace and quiet, inherent joy that is not dependent on external events or achievements. It arises simply from connecting with your deeper being through presence. This becomes your true refuge, a source of strength and contentment always available beneath the surface fluctuations of life. These transformations unfold organically as presence becomes more your natural state than just a technique you apply. It's a journey of returning home to yourself. So, my wonderful friends at Booksmart Insights, we've taken a comprehensive journey together today, diving deep into the heart of Eckhart Tolle's transformative teachings on stillness and presence. We've navigated the often choppy waters of the modern mind, explored the intricate workings of the ego, and uncovered the luminous path back to inner peace that lies waiting within each of us. What's the core takeaway from this deep exploration? It's deceptively simple, yet profoundly life-altering. The primary source of our unhappiness, stress, and anxiety isn't usually the external situation itself, but our internal reaction to it, fueled by the incessant, compulsive thinking mind and the demands of the insecure, mind-made ego. We suffer because we are lost in thought, identified with our mental narratives, trapped in psychological time, past regrets and future fears, and constantly resisting the reality of the present moment. As Thoreau might say, we live in quiet desperation, often drowned out by inner noise. But the incredible, liberating news is that we don't have to remain prisoners of our minds. There's a way out, and it doesn't involve becoming someone different, but realizing who we truly are beneath the layers of thought and conditioning. The key lies in cultivating stillness, that inner space of quiet awareness, and practicing presence. Anchoring our attention fully in the here and now. the only place where life ever truly happens. We can progressively weaken the grip of compulsive thinking and the ego through dedicated practices like meditation, mindfully engaging with our daily activities, and connecting deeply with the natural world. We learn to observe our thoughts without automatically believing them, to feel our emotions without being defined by them, and to accept the present moment, even when it's challenging, without adding the extra layer of mental resistance that causes so much suffering. As we tread this path, the landscape of our lives begins to change from the inside out. Our relationships become infused with more understanding, empathy, and less unnecessary conflict. We tap into deeper wells of wisdom, creativity, and intuition. We develop the resilience to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs with more extraordinary grace and acceptance. Most importantly, we uncover an underlying sense of peace, contentment, and subtle joy that isn't dependent on external circumstances. This joy arises simply from being present and connected to our own being. Now, I want to reiterate, this is a practice, a journey, not an instant fix or a final destination. It requires commitment, patience, and a healthy dose of self-compassion. There will be days when you feel like the old mental habits are strong, when the ego protests loudly and presence feels elusive. That's perfectly okay. That's part of the human experience. The practice isn't about achieving perfection. It's about the gentle, persistent act of returning. Returning to the breath, returning to the senses, returning to the now, again and again, with kindness towards yourself each time you notice you've wandered off. Every single moment of conscious presence, however brief, matters. Think of books like The Power of Stillness, not as rigid doctrines, but as invitations and guideposts pointing you back to your inner knowing. Experiment with the practices and see what resonates in your own direct experience. The ultimate message you take away from our deep dive today is profound hope and empowerment. You hold the key to your inner peace. It's not out there somewhere, waiting to be found after you achieve the next goal or solve the following problem. It's right here, right now, accessible in the simple yet radical act of becoming still and present. Give yourself the gift of pausing today, breathing consciously and feeling the life within and around you. Even for just a few moments, you might be truly amazed at the quiet power you discover. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for joining me on this extended exploration today and being part of the Booksmart Insights community. Your time and attention mean the world to me. If this discussion sparked something within you and you found value or insight here, would you do me a huge favor and smash that like button below? It really helps the channel reach more people seeking this kind of understanding. And of course, if you haven't already and you'd like to continue diving deep into transformative books and ideas for personal growth together, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you won't miss out on our future insightful journeys. Now, I genuinely love to hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway from today's discussion? Have you read Eckhart Tolle's work, and how has it impacted you? What practices help you find stillness or presence in your busy life? Please share your thoughts, insights, or questions in the comments below. Let's build on this conversation together. Your engagement truly fuels this community. Thank you once again for being here. Until next time on Booksmart Insights, I wish you moments of deep stillness, abundant presence, and profound peace on your journey. Goodbye, and see you in the following video.